Rock and roll. We are live, we are recording, and welcome to training. So for the first time for myself in my real estate career, we have seen double-digit offers on a listing. Now, you may have heard about these things in the past, but it is a reality that is taking place. I know Wendy and Janie recently had a property up for sale. Several properties, 6, 7 properties on that one as well, and they're coming in real quick. So little backstory, if you don't know, took a listing out in Compton. This home is 1,400 squares, all original, so no upgrades whatsoever, built in 1954. It has an attached, rather detached garage that they've added in the back, so that's an upgrade there. So there's some space that's been provided there. Apart from that, the home is nothing to get really excited about, I guess, if you're from the Temecula Valley, because we're used to the bigger homes and the large lots and all the upgrades and so forth. Not a whole lot happening over there in Compton. Now, we went ahead and we priced this home out, and comps originally came in January at between 385 and 415. That's where comps were landing in January when I first started having a conversation with my clients. Then we went back and reassessed the market where it was just before we put it on the market, and the market was supporting. We had a very similar model home with no upgrades that it just appraised for 420. So we pushed it up. My seller was like, let's do 425. All right. So we listed for 425 on Monday. On Monday, we listed it maybe an hour and a half into it. We got our first showing request. Probably 2 hours into that, we got our first offer in our inbox. And we pushed out all of our showings because my client's a little older, so we wanted to just go ahead, let's just push out all the showings till Wednesday, have everybody come at one time, we'll let them go one by one through the home. We'll be there to facilitate that. So had 20 showing requests for Wednesday, and 19 of them showed up yesterday between 10 and 3 p.m. And then by this morning, we have not 5, not 10, but 12 offers that I'm looking at right now. And the offers range from the lowest one. This guy's kind of lost his mind a little bit. He's an investor. So he came in at $364,000. That's an investor trying to flip it. Versus a home buyer, top offer that we have is for $455. And we listed at $425. We've got $455, $450, another $440, and then 2 $430s. Those are the 5 we're going to be taking a look at this morning. And then there's others over there that we're not going to look at this morning. So that's just a little update for you all in real estate, what's taking place in the market. Now, this is Compton. There's not a lot of inventory there. You may have heard that the prices tend to, the inventory tends to move a little bit faster, and prices are, of course, higher there and moving that way in LA and in Orange County. So if you've got friends or family out in that area, might want to get on the call and just touch base with them and see what they're thinking, because there's opportunity out there, especially on the listing side. You will be doing business on the listing side in those counties. All right, of course here also, but just because of the sheer lack of inventory out there. So as you can see there on the screen, we're talking about a seller multiple counter offer. So I've got to shrink some of these things that I've got on my screen for you all so that I can, yes, that is crazy. I'm just seeing your little messages in here now. That's what's happening, guys, in real estate right now. So I want to bring this screen to the forefront so I can show it to you guys. So brought it up. This is easy for you to find right there in the zip forms. We're not going to do a class on zip forms, but this little offer right, or this little guy right here is your seller multiple counter offer. When you get multiple offers, you can use this document. If you have just one offer and you're countering it, you cannot use this document. This document has some power behind it that the sellers have that the buyers do not have. The way it typically works with a traditional counter offer, if a seller says, I don't really like those terms, I'm going to offer you these terms here. Say, for instance, the price was $415 and they offer came in at $410, and then the counter offer from the seller was 410, right? We had a 415, offer came in at 400, counters back at 410. If the buyer is to sign that counter offer, you have a binding contract. You can open escrow. The multiple counter offer works differently than that, and we're going to go over how it works a little bit differently. So let's just start at the top of the page. All right, starting here at the top of the page, it says, I've highlighted these portions because you want to understand it. It says paragraphs in the offer that require initials by all parties but are not initialed by all parties are excluded from the final agreement unless specified reference or inclusion in paragraph 1C of this form or another counter offer. So what that means is in your offer, you have the right to mediate and arbitrate those two areas. There are options for a buyer or seller to opt in or opt out. If they have not opted in, it's not binding. This does not make that binding. That's what that's referencing to. If you're asking, what is this area where initials for parties? That's what that's referencing, that right there. So it's not going to automatically add that into anything. That needs to be added under C1. That's a pretty simple one right there. Okay, this little portion right here, I highlighted. I want you to bring attention to it in B, where it says down payment and loan amounts will be adjusted in the same proportion as in the original offer. So if the offer price that you're asking, if you're pushing the offer up as the seller, goes up 10%, then their loan is going to adjust also. Their down payment is going to adjust also, because all of that information, of course, is always detailed right out here in the financing side of your offer that's been given to you. All right, so that's what that's referencing, that right there. But then notate, but it says there, the last portion of that second paragraph, but deposit amounts shall remain unchanged from the original offer. So whatever their EMD was, the EMD shall remain the same. Got it? If there are any other terms at this point is where you can start adjusting. So at this point, if you had the sales price, you didn't agree to it because you listed at 400 and they rushed an offer for, 380. So you can put in here, purchase price shall be 400,000. If there are some terms that you don't agree with in the purchase contract, say for instance that they're asking for Section 1 clearance, you have the option at this point, you can say, you know what, we'll do the termite that you're asking for, but we're gonna take out the Section 1 clearance. All right, so you can write that in here in other terms as well. Anything in the offer that you want to remove, like any other counter offer, you can do that here with the seller multiple counter offer. And in doing this document here, this is specific to whatever offer you're talking about. This does not apply to all of the offers across the board. You can, and it tells us that if we roll down where it says binding effect, I'm down to paragraph 2. It says binding effect. Seller, let's actually just, I'll read the whole thing. I like to read because I don't want us to miss anything. Seller is making multiple counter offers. This is straight out the bat. Everybody knows multiple counter offers to other prospective buyers on terms that may or may not be the same in this multiple counter offer. So I can tell one guy, I want you to take out the Section 1 clearance, but your price is fine. And I can tell another buyer that, you know what, I need your price to come up only. You can adjust these however you want to, depending on the offer that it's countering. All right, then it says, this multiple counter offer does not bind seller and buyer unless the following occur in the time specified below. So 5 things, I think it's 5 things I notated here, 4 things actually, I'm sorry, 4 things here have to take place in order for this to be a now binding executed contract. All right, the first that it says there is seller signs paragraph 5. So you see where seller is right there? The seller is going to just simply sign right there. Whatever it is, the terms that they've put in, they're going to say, this is what it's going to be, sign it and execute on the line there. Then the buyer signs paragraph 7. So at this point, the buyer says, you know what, we like those terms, we will agree to it. And it looks like I need to just kind of scroll that down so you guys can see it a little better. The buyer says, you know what, we agree to those terms. Sure, we wanted to get the price for the home for a little bit less. Seller's not willing to do that. Why? Because of course he's got multiple offers on the property, so he doesn't have to just settle on ours. And I'll just share this little piece right here. This is when it comes up, this helps your buyer, or rather your seller, when you price their home accurately and you do a really good job of marketing. this is how you're going to facilitate multiple offers. And the reason why you want multiple offers is what you always will explain to your sellers is you want the buyers competing amongst themselves. I got 12 people basically around this table fighting for this one house. The seller is sitting back and saying, you guys figure it out. Who really wants my home? As opposed to one buyer and a seller. Now the buyer comes in and he says, you know what? I'm only going to offer you $380 for your home. And you're like, I want $400. So now you guys are back and forth and you're trying to get as much as you can, as opposed to if you had another full price offer or over asking price offer. So it gives much more leverage to your sellers when you have those multiple offers. And the best way to get that is, again, people think in their minds, I want to price my home at the top because they're probably going to whittle me down. So I still want to, it's probably worth $435, but I'm going to ask $450, as opposed to doing what is actually a smart thing when it comes time to listing your home and getting multiple offers. It's worth $435, but I'm going to list it for maybe $425 or $430. Why? Because it's an opportunity now that other buyers will see is that's a great home at a great price. And so now people are coming in, as opposed to I listed it at $450 and say, yeah, it's a really nice home, but it's overpriced. I'll wait. I just throw that in there because that's the conversation that you want to be having with your clients so that you never overprice a home when they sit on the market. Even in this market here, if it's overpriced, it's still unfortunately going to sit there because no one's going to pay more for a home than what it realistically is worth and going to appraise for. All right, so we've got step number 2 covered, where the buyer is going to sign and execute on paragraph 7. We've circled there, it says seller signs in paragraph 8. So typically, again, what we talked about in a normal counter offer, once the buyer signs, you have an executed contract, but not in the case of the multiple counter. What the seller can do at this one, he can send out all 12 or however many multiple counters that they want to send out, and then wait till they all come back, and then at that point determine which one they want. It's a wonderful tool for the seller to have that you want in their hands. You don't want one offer. You never want one offer. You always want 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, however many offers you can get for your seller to get them top dollar for their home. So that's what this document does here. And then point number 4, it says buyer receives a copy. They've got to receive a copy of the multiple offer with all the signatures. When that takes place, we have an executed contract. We can open escrow. All right? Again, you take this document right here, that you see on the screen, and you fill it out for each individual offer that you received. And you can tailor it however you want it to be for that specific buyer. Like one time I had multiple counters come back for I represented the buyer, and they actually wanted us to reduce our inspection period. They said, we're going to take your offer, but we want to see that you guys are serious. So they reduced our inspection period from the typical 17 days down to like 10 or 14 or something like that. So those are all types of things that you can throw into these counter offers. You have that ability. So any questions on what we've covered on the SMCO? I know Rebecca's there. Go ahead. I know you got something that I missed. I can't hear you, lady.
Okay, there I am. I just want to say to please pay attention to how you're numbering your multiple counter offers. I see that messed up quite a bit. So if you have multiple counter offers, they're each one, because you're addressing the purchase agreement for that one counter offer. And then if you have 5 seller multiples, they're all labeled as number 1 until you guys go to the next counter. If the buyer counters from there, then that's buyer counter offer number 1. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. They have to go in order, and they have to be addressed at the top what they're referencing. I see that messed up quite a bit, where you guys aren't referencing the correct counter or purchase agreements or whatever. So just Pay attention to that. And then it says on the seller multiple, it says, by signing below, seller accepts. Note to seller, do not sign in this box until after buyer signs and returns paragraph 7. Do not sign in this box if the seller multiple counteroffer is subject to attached counteroffer. I see you guys like jump the gun and sign stuff just because a signature appears there. Don't sign it if it's subject to a counter. That's all I have to say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Always appreciate the feedback that Rebecca gives us. She sees a ton of this as our TC. And there's the box there that you see for paragraph 7, subject to attached counteroffer. You're checking that box. Without that box checked, if you sign here, your buyer has agreed to the terms that are written in. Okay? So any question for any of you agents there, anything that we've covered, anything that maybe wasn't clear, please, please feel free. Feel free at this time. Let me know before we move on. This is similar in nature to any other offer where you have, it's the 3-day.
Sorry, I've been trying to unmute my phone.
Oh, go ahead, Ellen.
I have a question for Rebecca. So when does this section 8 get signed? Once we are in like fully executed contract?
Okay, so when you guys accept the seller multiple, so seller sends it out, then buyer signs acceptance. After you get back your offers from whoever you've multiple countered to, whatever one you're accepting. So if you have 3 out there and you don't accept 1 and 2, but you're accepting number 3 and there is no counter to that, then your seller accepts that multiple counter. That's letting the buyers know that of the 3 different, 4 different, however many multiples there are out there, you're accepting that one. Now, if there's a buyer counter attached to your seller multiple, you do not sign that because that does not apply anymore because it's subject to the buyer's counter offer. I just recently had one where it was a seller multiple, then it went buyer counter, then it was seller multiple number 2, and that was accepted. So on seller multiple number 2, that's where the box of acceptance will get signed.
Okay, this one stays unsigned. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome question. Thank you so much. And again, like we were just mentioning, this, you got 3 days, typically, like any other offer time period. And then of course, as we highlighted on paragraph number 3, you can write in any specific time or date also there, and it can be received by either the buyer or the agent. There's a line for you to put in, rather for the seller or the agent. You can put in where I wrote in agent, you can put your name there. You can receive it on their behalf. All right. So that's the seller multiple counter. What we're going to get into next is going to be this little document here, which most agents probably don't even, I wouldn't say, I don't know. I don't know who knows what. Okay, so we won't say that. But it's the summary of multiple offers. This is a really cool document that right there available to us, like all the other CAR forms. When you have all these offers, how do you present them to your client in a way that they can understand what's on the table? So this little form right here helps to explain what's on the table. We're going to walk you through this easy to fill out form so that you should do this for all of your multiple offers so that no one gets confused. You know all your offers are there and you haven't missed anything. So it's very easy right here on the first portion where it says purchase price all cash. You've got the option for a yes or no box. So here we can see what our cash offers are versus our offers for financing. And then of course, right there in the line at the top is going to be whatever the purchase price offer price is. Okay, that goes there. The initial deposit, how much earnest money are they putting down for this piece of property? Are they coming in and saying, you know, we're going to do 1%? or because I could have two identical offers at the same price. One's coming in at 1% EMD, the next coming in at 5% EMD. Which offer is stronger? Clearly the one that's putting more skin in the game with the 5% EMD. So this here, they're able to see black and white side by side. If there's ever an increased deposit, of course, there's already a spot there for that as well. And then the loan amount. What is the loan amount going to be? You want to know that because you're going to be referencing that back to, of course, their pre-approval, making sure that everything lines up. With any of your offers, make sure that you've got your pre-approval and your proof of funds accompanying those offers. Those are your strongest offers. When the agent has done their due diligence on the buyer's side and they have provided for you with the offer, the pre-approval as well as proof of funds. Because if I don't have pre-approval and I don't have proof of funds, but another one does, well, that's the one I really want to go with because I already know that they're ready to rock and roll. If I have just a pre-approval, there's a lot of lenders that can spit out a pre-approval real easy. But then if I can also see cash in the bank, I know that these guys are serious and they're not pulling our leg. All right, so those are things that you're going to want to always bring into whenever you're sitting down with your client and you're looking at those multiple offers. Do you have all the accompanying documents supporting them being able to execute a purchase? All right. Close of escrow, we're down on that, right? Date after the acceptance. How long are they looking to hold escrow open? Cash buyer is going to say, I can close in, 5 to 10 business days. So he's going to put that in there for their close of escrow. Versus maybe your conventional financing, they're going to need anywhere from 30 to 45 days to execute on their loan. But some of these guys are getting them done in 21 days. That's another thing that you're going to put right there. These are the key pieces of any offer that you always want to bring to the attention of the seller, because they don't know this. When they get this offer like this right here, right, as you see on the screen, they don't know what this means. When was the last time that they read a 10-page purchase agreement? What's online? I'm confused. Who's asking for? This is what this is here for, to help them be able to see in black and white side by side, and so that you don't miss anything as you provide them the best guidance possible as an agent. All right. Of course, possession date. Does your seller need time to get out? Are they going to provide them time to get out? What's the close of escrow going to be? That right there as well. This is when you can really start to strengthen an offer, is when you can start adjusting quite possibly some of these contingency periods. Loan contingency, is it going to be 21 days? It's going to be sooner than that. Appraisal and buyer inspections, are they going to do faster than 17 days or not? Those are important things for you to know as well. And then sale of buyer's property or contingent. Do you have someone who's selling a piece of property in order to purchase this one here? Well, if I've got 5 offers here that are on the screen and one of them needs to sell their home in order to purchase my home, even if they're offering more, that's not necessarily the strongest offer, because if they fall out of escrow or something happens, then I've got to start all over on their side. So these are things that you want to make sure that your seller is be able to see in black and white so that they can make the most informed decision for whatever that offer may be. All right. Of course, items included in there. People are asking for stuff, and it's unfortunate. We miss stuff, and this is how you can avoid missing stuff. I don't think she minds if I share it, because she shared it with us openly. I think Jennifer Hope said she bought a refrigerator one time because she didn't notice that they asked for the refrigerator in the offer. And so then the refrigerator went, and they're like, what's going on here? But when you write these things down right here, you're not going to miss that. You can go through and okay, I did notice that they asked for the refrigerator on that offer. Let's make sure that we put that on there so we don't miss anything. And if you need to counter something out, you can do that as well. All right. Now, what's not on here, and they don't do a, scroll down, buddy. I would encourage you, I didn't write it on here. It would look kind of maybe tacky if I did it with the pencil, but there's quite a bit more that goes into an offer. And you've got a little bit of space in this little white portions where it says other terms and credits. So let's take a look at an offer, because what that did is that took us through the first page of the offer. All right. But on the back of the offer, we've got some other things that we need to think about. All right. Other terms is something, it's actually, you'll see it in a couple different places. Additional financing terms under line E. Typically, you will see in there closing costs. That's where, the seller needs or the buyer needs 5%, 2%, whatever the case may be for closing costs. In this particular case, other terms is actually on the, so on page 2, or on page 2, right? Yep. Paragraph 6, they're asking for the closing costs there. So this is something that you're going to put down here in this next portion is, are they asking for closing? This one here says, seller to credit buyer $10,000 for their closing costs. So the offer that's $430 is really $420 in my mind for my seller, right? So you don't want to miss that little portion right there. Also, the allocation of costs. This is starting to get into who's going to pay for what. These little pieces you also don't want to forget, and that's going to be paragraph 7, starting there. First one's always going to be your NHD. That's pretty standard, but the termite. The second one is typically the termite that they're asking for, and are they asking for Section 1 clearance with their termite? You can notate that right here in this next portion with this little blank spot under each of these offers if they're asking for that. Again, we know that if I accept an offer, my client accepts an offer for Section 1 clearance, and we have not done a termite inspection prior to any of these offers coming in, they are signing a blank check because anything can be found. We can think that there's no problem until the termite inspector goes in the attic because everything looks good on the outside and there's an infestation in the attic. And then they have to tent the home. And then that's anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 is what some of the costs are for them to tent those homes to eradicate those pests. All right, so think about that as well. This one right here, because this is in the city of Compton, city inspection report. The city of Compton, and I want to share this with you guys because your work, I don't know where you work. I don't know where your friends and families are, but different cities have different regulations. The city of Compton has what is called a pre-sale inspection report, meaning that if there's been any alterations to the property, that they're going to send an inspector out, and that inspector is going to look if they've upgraded the countertops in the kitchen, if they've converted a garage into a den, so to speak, if they've added new flooring. And then they're going to say, you didn't get permitted to do this because if you remember from your real estate school, anything $500 or more worth of work done to a home has to be done, rather cannot be done by a handyman. It must be permitted by a licensed professional. So that's not going to be the case. So it's actually another way for them to it's really just increase taxes is in essence what it is. But they can come in and now your seller has to make all of those fixes. Or you can do a waiver, and if you waive it, then that takes the responsibility and the liability goes all onto the buyer should they choose to accept it, but that has to be a notarized document. I'm sharing the information that's actually very new to myself as well. So as you go from city to city, we don't have some of those things here in Temecula, Murrieta, Wildomar, Lake Elsinore, Menifee, but if you're working out towards LA or you're working in Orange County or some of those things, keep that in mind when you're looking over any offers for your sellers. Again, I don't know where everybody works, but we want to make sure that you don't miss anything. If you remember when you took your real estate school test, all of us have our license, so we took the test. Your instructor may have told you it's a reading test. The reason why I believe it's a reading test is for you to pay attention to the details. It is critical that we don't miss the small details that can cost you, like it myself, $450, or some agents I've heard in the past cost them their entire commission check because of something that they've missed on the purchase agreement or the listing, or rather the purchase agreement. All right, it's our responsibility as the licensed professionals to be able to explain to our clients everything that is on here. All right. The other things that you want to flip over to that you can also include on here include the home warranty. If they're asking for a home warranty, how much they're asking for, that's in paragraph D. And then of course, escrow and title. Are they looking for anyone to pay their own 50-50? They're asking for the seller to pay for all of that. If there's going to be, they're asking for title themselves. They're going to allow you, the seller, to choose title. And then of course, we've got the wonderful minimum mandatory government standard retrofits. That's going to be paragraphs 7.2. It's not a point of sale here in Murrieta, Temecula, but like San Diego proper it is, and then different cities require it, and then others don't require it. So you want to pay close attention to right here at the top of page, we're on page 3, right? Yeah, page 3 of our purchase agreement. right here at the top, paragraph, it says 2 there, this is paragraph 7.2, in regards to those, if you are agreeing the seller to take care of that or the buyer to be responsible for any of that, and is it a point of sale in the city which you are doing business, all right? These are critical pieces here that I wanna make sure that you guys don't miss when you're looking at all of these different offers. There's all kinds of ways that agents put them on there. One thing I wanna show you real quick. Yeah, here we go. People put stuff anywhere on these offers. So this one right here, all right? So what they did was, it said on paragraph 7A, they asked for a termite inspection and section 1 clearance. And then when you flip it over, they've asked again for recommended work to correct section 1 described in section 1 destroy report. They've asked for it again. Then they've actually put in here, now this is for the buyer, but again, notice who's paying for what. You'll see it there. The buyer is actually is being able to pay for the transaction coordination fees. All right, so if you've got a transaction coordinator, that's where some people will actually put it. You're not supposed to put these on here, but Rebecca can verify that. You're not legally supposed to put that on here. However, you will see it from time to time right there, and they've actually added here. You can put anything you really want in here. However, that doesn't necessarily make that it's legal, but if people have agreed to it, and you have a binding contract. Did you have something you want to share on that, Rebecca, or you're okay? She's good to go. Right on. All right, and I want to say that's going to cover what I need on that one there. Again, of course, stoves and washers, dryers, that's all there at the on paragraph 8 on your purchase agreement as well. These things are critical for us to understand and to use. And if we don't know how to use them, we don't know where they are, we can't utilize them. When you show up with all of this laid out, your client is at ease. They know and understand that you know and understand what you're doing. And that's your job, to know and understand what it is that you're doing, how to read these purchase agreements, how to explain it to them, and when you need to counter, how you should be countering, what it should look like. Because I'll tell you something real quick. All right, let me find it for you real quick for you guys. The way that an offer looks, if you just flip gears and you transition back to the buyer's side, all right? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. So we got this offer for $450. It's interesting because it tells you if an agent understands these contracts or not. And so you can kind of prepare, you can prepare your client as well, what you might get into by accepting a specific offer. The purchase agreement was modified December 18th of, we'll mute her real quick. You're good, no worries. I like it when there's noise actually in the room because I'm not by myself. I don't feel like I'm just talking to a screen. The purchase agreement was modified December of 2018. This purchase agreement here that we were sent yesterday or the day before is the one that was modified on December of 2015. We don't even use this anymore. It's interesting because it's always defaulted that the first loan is going to be conventional. The agent actually checked the box other and wrote conventional. So that tells me right there who I'm dealing with. Does this agent know what they're supposed to, do they know what this says? They're doing a disservice to their client, but I need to make sure in protecting my client, we have an agent who might not know what they're doing. And if we have an agent who doesn't quite know what they're doing, it could be problematic throughout the transaction. So you need to be able to explain that to them. Say, this right here is old, so honestly, I need to counter this whole thing back. They need to rewrite this whole offer. I can't even use this. Like, this is obsolete. Like, so I have to say, hey guys, we got your offer. You used the wrong RPA. Can you rewrite that and send it to us on the one that's been amended? Go ahead, Rebecca. You got something you want to share?
So I just want to say, I know that a lot of times when you guys have listings and you guys get an offer, you guys are excited. Your sellers want to hurry up and open escrow. And when you guys are rushing through and you think you checked everything, by the time I get this offer and I'm looking at it, boxes are missed on page 1 for agency. Close of escrow day is missing. You guys look for certain things. I look for certain things. I look for the boxes being marked. If seller has shortened days to give disclosures out. If you guys are on the buying side and you're trying to shorten your contingencies because you want your offer to be stronger for whatever reason, keep in mind that when you guys shorten your contingencies for the loan and the appraisal, if you don't shorten the seller to give you disclosures, they still have 7 days. So when you guys have like a 21-day escrow and seller still has 7 days to get out disclosures, keep that in mind. Maybe shorten that period so that you can get those disclosures sooner so you can review them faster. Things like the seller or the escrow fees, each to pay their own. I'm gonna kick his butt. Those things that are missed, you're either gonna have to kick it back and have them correct it, or you guys are creating another form that has to be signed, an addendum or agent confirmation or agency confirmation. So the cleaner it comes over, the better. So just kind of take your time in looking through that because it will get kicked back.
Mhm.
That's it.
Everything needs to be checked. And you know, it's kind of frustrating. And I'll tell you this because, so you'll get offer and you're like, this is a good offer, but they missed these two. They forgot to check the box, like the current ones right now. Our current offers, or our current RPAs right now, you've got to check these boxes. Who represents which side? And the agents forget it on a regular basis. Like, so who represents who? Yeah, you wrote it there, but you didn't check the box. I will send it back and say, you know, I actually, I don't know if I have it here. I don't think I have it with me. I have, so the way that I did this is I took I'm trying to think where it is because I can find it for you. I think I know where it is. I'm gonna find it for you guys. I'm gonna stop my screen share. I'm gonna show you what I did to an offer so that the agent knew what they had to do. Because we weren't, I didn't want to counter. So I was like, we'll just fix this whole thing. So we're gonna go here. So you're gonna give me a minute to go find it. So you cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording. Okay, well, we'll figure it out, guys. So I've got stuff on the screen, but we're gonna make it work. So I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna show you what I did. All right, I got it back and it was ready to rock and roll. We had no problems. And it was no disrespect. Hopefully the agent didn't feel disrespected. That's really not my problem either though, but let me see if this is it right here. I'm gonna show you what I did. Yep, it says red, this should be this guy right here. Let me see. Yep, here it is. Okay, so I just gotta download this for us. Give me a second. And then we're gonna pull out of our downloads. I'm gonna show you what I did. Who cares how the agent feels? Because you have a responsibility to your client to make sure things are right, okay? It's kind of difficult when you only have one screen. Oh man, I don't even know where I'm at anymore, but we'll find it. Because I've got to put it on my screen so that I can actually show it to you guys. 1 second. Here it is. Okay. Here we go. Go back to share screen. It should be this guy right here. Share. All right, you should be able to see this, right? You guys can see this right here? Check it out. This is what we did. So everything looked okay here in the beginning. I've got to move this over so I can get my little cursor. Here we go. So everything looked okay in the beginning. This is what I did. So they put the wrong, they went to the realist, they didn't call me. They went to realist tax to get the seller. It's not in a trust anymore. So that's what's supposed to be there. So I told them, that's what you got to fix. Send that back to me. All right. We went over here. The 30-day escrow is what we talked about. 30 days, man. You need to fix that. See these boxes that are missing? Fix these boxes, man. Like, what's going on here? Like, we have a first loan, but he's got some stuff marked for a second loan. And I was like, what the heck is going on here, man? Put these in the right boxes. And that's what it was. So I went through, everything else seemed pretty clean, but then I went all the way to the end as well. And the seller, again, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything for him. Where'd it go? Actually, I missed it here. It's not there. I was supposed to put it there. I think he did fix it, because he fixed it in the one time. He was good to go. I think that was the only one, right? Is that all I had? No. And this one right here, he didn't check the box that he was supposed to check on the short sale addendum. Okay. So I went through and I just marked it up like that and was like, guy, you need to fix this right here. Because I can send a counter to fix all of these things, or I can tell the agent, you fix it because it's your offer. Do you want us to accept it? And you know what? They got it. They've got a step-by-step with it. It's a little bit of work on my end, but you know what? I want a nice, clean offer that I can go ahead and my guy can sign. If we're not we weren't countering anything really. We just had some discussion. This is what should have been there in the offer already, but you missed something, especially who's the seller? Do yourself a favor, all right? Call. Whoever this listing agent is, if you're on that side, what's the seller's names? Do not trust realists. Please do not trust realists, okay? Who's the sellers of this property? Make sure you got that right information, all right? And again, if you ever want like title or escrow, have that conversation. Don't just write it in, because then they're gonna counter out and have to reject your offer. Make it easy for them to accept it. All right, those are just a couple things that I'll share with you, that the best practices that I use, because I got one offer here, and it's actually not the highest offer. It's the one for 440 that came in. But this offer, all we have to do is sign it. The other offer's got one little problem over here. Somebody messed up over here. It's just like, I got to counter that and fix it. The 440 offer, sign it and open escrow. All right. Even though it's not the highest, the agent is solid. I met the agent yesterday, and I see how this agent works. These are the kind of agents that I want to work with. These are the kind of agents that we're helping you guys to become every day. Top notch, the best out there, so that when you write an offer, when you see these offers coming in, you know what to look for so it doesn't cost you. Because at the end of the day, it tends to typically cost us agents money because we miss something. So don't miss anything. Do your due diligence, double check everything, write it all down. Use the forms that have been provided to you so that you don't miss anything. Any questions on anything that we've covered so far? I hope you found this informative. Don't be shy. Ask the questions. If we don't have the answers, we're going to go get them for you. So I'll open it up. Go ahead. It was already open before, but I'll open it up. Anybody got any questions? Anything that we've gone over so far? I don't hear anything, guys. Ladies, mercy.
David, it's Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie, what's up?
How you doing?
Very good. Very good.
So I have a question. Can we use the multiple counter offer even if we're only responding to one offer? Meaning, like, could we make it appear like there are more than one offers that we're entertaining?
Not at all. No, that's false. It's false representation right there. You cannot do that. You have to have two offers to be able to use the multiple counter offer, because what you've done is you've lied to the other side, and then they can call you out and say, "What's the other offer?" No, if you only have one offer, it's you and the buyer's agent working back and forth. Until you get that other offer, that's where it is. And just to be aware, so this is where you've got to be paying attention to what's happening, because you could have one offer and you could send out a counter offer to that and then get another offer. You immediately need to cancel that counter offer, and you can do that. You can retract it and then send multiple counter offer. But you have to do it prior to that buyer executing it, because if they execute it prior to you retracting it, guess what? It's a contract. It's binding. Seller, the buyer has all control at that point. Great question.
Right. I figured I knew the answer to that, but I thought I would just know what I'm always up against. So if we ask what other offer is being presented, they have to disclose that information to us, or no?
They won't necessarily tell you what the offer is. Like, I had a guy yesterday, he was like, so what do we need to do? And I was like, I got offers between 370 and 450, man. Put your best foot forward. Oh, wow. There you go. They may not tell you anything. They may tell you, typically what I'll tell an agent is, put your best foot forward so that if you guys don't get it, your clients aren't upset thinking, they missed out on the home they wanted over $2,000 or $3,000, Don't be afraid to put your best foot forward. That's what my recommendation that I always tell them. But no, they're typically not going to tell you what the price is that they have. They will tell you that they've got another offer because they have to tell you if they have another offer or not.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
For sure. Great question. That was actually a question I think I had early on when I didn't know which counter offer to use. I just started in the game. I don't know what's going on here. What do you use? Like, you use counter offer for one, multiple offers, use multiple counter offers. Then you're ready to rock and roll. All right. Any other questions? Who's got questions out there? Who wants to come help me figure out all these offers?
I do want to say something. With a lot of your guys' listings right now, you guys are getting seller multiple counter offers, and they're going really fast. My advice is be ready with your seller disclosures. With your SPQ and TDS, because things are happening so fast. Make sure you're on top of your sellers to get that stuff completed. And please, please, please review them. Like, actually look at them and the boxes being marked.
More boxes.
And yeah, more boxes. And if there's a yes, that there's something saying why they marked yes, that would be great.
They have to fill that out. Best practices for me, I sit down and take a listing. I tell my client, this is an SPQ, explain what it is. This is a TDS, I explain what it is. I need you to fill this out for me in the next 24 hours if you can't get it done before I leave today. You put it in your file. You do your AVID as well, because your AVID is a part of your seller's docs. So your AVID, your SPQ, and your TDS, when they're all done, when you get that offer, all you do is accept, send all your docs. You walk away. You're done. Everything's on the buyer's side at that point. Okay? So great point there that Rebecca brought up. Julie, I see you commented in, says thank you. Each time the forms get less and less overwhelming. Yes, even for myself. Every time that you go over these forms, you understand them a little better. And you need to. We honestly need to memorize this stuff to a degree so that we'll get to my client's house. Okay, yeah, this is paragraph 2. Hang on a minute. Yeah, this says, is this the first time you've seen one of these? Right? No, you need to be able to say, this is this is that. This is where you're going to sign here. This is what that means. So continue to just to look over these documents. You can print them all out if you want to. It'll create a binder about that thick. It's that many disclosures that are out there. You become familiar with all of these so that you can be the very best agents in the Valley. When you know your stuff, you've got some power behind you, and you won't be at the mercy of some of these agents that try to take advantage of you, especially if you're a newer agent. And I'll just share this. Agents look at your license number. When I see a license number that has no zero in it, or the first, how's the thing work? What is the number now? Look at one of these cards so I can look at a license number. Yeah, when there's like 2 zeros, I know that agent's been around for a long, long time. So it's either a really good agent or someone who's ready to retire and forgot most of the stuff. All right, it's kind of how that works. But when I see somebody that's got a 02 in their license number, I know that's a newer agent and they might not be all that savvy, right? And so some people will try to take advantage of you, but when you know your stuff, you'll be just like any other good agent and say, no, actually on paragraph 12B, it says this. And then they're like, oh, okay, can't take advantage of it. And so that's how I want you guys to make sure that you know your stuff. If there's ever any questions, there's ever anything that we can do to help you here at the office, please feel free to reach out to myself, to Felipe, to Amber, any of the rest of the staff to get your questions answered. Ask the question is what I'll tell you. I say that because that was one of the faults that I had as a new agent, not asking the question. Just kind of trying to figure it out. There's a lot of knowledge in this office between these 100+ agents and the I don't know how many years of experience now to be able to help you get these documents created and the first time correctly. All right. If there's nothing else, guys, it's 11:24. We're getting done a little bit early. Back to your work. I assume everybody is working today. It's no time off. The market is hot. Buyers are out there. Sellers are out there. You should be prospecting if you have no business right now. I just got an up-desk call for a rental. Yes, I even still do rentals as well right here in Temecula, so we're going to go ahead and handle that. I encourage you as well. Be out there working. Yeah, there's a pandemic. Yeah, the world's going crazy. Business and real estate is still happening. Go ahead and make your money. Take care of your family, guys. All right?